Hey everyone, new episode, next episode, Alpha Centurion vlog podcast.
Is this a vlog?
Vlog, video log.
Oh, is that what vlog? I don't know.
See, we learn something every day.
Yeah.
We wanted to talk more specifically about fasting. Should we want?
Yeah, well, if we're vlogging, we don't want to be vlogging a dead horse, so we've got a live dog instead. This is a bit of the dog.
Mama!
Yeah, there you go.
Schlogging and vlogging.
Just a little play on words.
We like to play with words here and other things. Beagle's tails.
You were saying we're going to talk about
Fasting.
fasting.
Not about how fast you can run, but about not eating for an extended period of time. And the benefits. So Steve.
When did you last eat Ryman?
This morning.
Did you? Oh,
I had a Wunder muffin, so I'm not actually fasting right now. Fresh muffins in the oven.
I last ate it was about 9 o'clock last night, because I was hungry after making the bean casserole in the evening, which we ate a bit early. Then I was hungry again, so I had a bit more. But yesterday, so I didn't eat until 1:30, 2 o'clock. So that's...
But why would you choose to do such a thing?
Why would you? It feels normal to me now. And yesterday was like a 17-7 break. So 17 hours of fasting. So I didn't eat until nearly 2 o'clock lunchtime. Because if you're busy, the time goes quite quick and you don't notice. You get used to this. And then dinner in the evening was about 6:30. So by 7 o'clock, that's over. And then and sometimes I would go from 7 until the next day, midday, which already makes 17 hours, which is a good pause for me. It is all a bit personal. It depends what suits you. But yesterday I was hungry and I've been exercising in the morning, and it's cold weather, so that makes you want to eat a bit more. So I had a little snack, which is peanut butter basically. And that was about 9 o'clock. I finished that yesterday. And so today, what time are we now? It's about 11 o'clock, 11:30, and I haven't eaten yet. And I'm not really missing it. I have had coffee and tea, but without any calories in it. No milk. Green tea in the morning and black coffee just now.
So what do you feel is the biggest benefits you've noticed from extending the time period of not eating?
Well, I read a lot about this, and it's things like...
You read a lot? What's your personal experience, Stephen?
My personal experience is that I adapt very well to it, and I don't miss it. I don't miss eating in the morning because I'm busy doing things. I was used to it for a long time, having a milky coffee and a croissant or pain au chocolat, something quite calorific in the morning, and then I realised I didn't need that, and in fact black coffee worked as well, black coffee which has no calories in it. So the idea is, and I think I approach this intellectually actually, is that it gives you, your inside, your whole system, a break. Because if you're snacking constantly, you've always got something going on in there, going down your system, and it needs to have a rest. And there are other benefits that you can read about getting from doing that. But it also feels like a sort of cleansing. You're not digesting, you're not feeling food inside you all the time. And it feels like your body's resting. I suppose that's it basically. You've done this as well. So how do you feel it?
Well, I grew up with breakfast is the most important meal of the day, with that being timed as like when you wake up, you eat, or within whatever, an hour of waking up, you eat, and like 3 square meals, and and fasting being something, it was more, growing up Catholic, it was more associated like the Lenten season, so like limiting what you eat. Not necessarily don't eat anything, but don't eat meat on certain days and these kind of things. So like the religious aspect of fasting, but we never really followed it, truly. So like coming from the US and the food culture there, like fasting wasn't something we normally did.
Did you give something up for Lent? Like meat or...
But this is the kind of thing, like we would do, the adults would talk more about that. It would be something like, I'm going to give up sugar, like as a kid, but it wouldn't, there was no accountability to really follow through with it. And then the more I got into, I guess, my education on nutrition and even being with Tamara as well, and her not eating as much as myself, so being this big comparison. And then playing with, the intermittent fasting, like when that first was coming out into the health and fitness world and experimenting with that and feeling much lighter overall, like for all the reasons that you're saying, like just less stress on my digestion. And growing up as well, I ate not necessarily, even for breakfast, like cereal, but like you would have meat a lot, and so having a lot of meat through my diet, like it challenges your system as well. So just extending the time mentally was a benefit for me as well. Like just to not think about what am I going to eat next or what's for breakfast or this, that, but carry on with other things and primarily just hydrate and drink. Like my digestive system was much happier. I lose a lot of weight as well like that. Like coming back from Colorado this last time where I ate a lot more than I do when I'm here. Like the fasting here helps me clear my system and just feel much better, and like mental clarity. This is what I feel.
I think
happier gut.
We have as you said, the 3 meals a day thing is what I grew up with as well, and breakfast being the most important meal. And the second stage of that actually is there is a reason for saying breakfast. It's important to have a good breakfast before you
break your fast.
Start your day.
Or the
break
word.
Your fast.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have a good breakfast, then you get hungry in the middle of the morning and start snacking on rubbish stuff, sugary.
This is the more modern lifestyle as well.
Yeah, but that's what a lot of us have been doing. So that's a reason to think, well, if you have a good breakfast, then you won't want to do that. I never found that actually, because I would have, for a long time, I was having porridge, oatmeal, for breakfast, just about every day, which is a good breakfast, but I would still be hungry by 10:30 and have a pastry with a renversé with a milky coffee in the middle of the morning. And then it's later on that you find that, well, hang on a minute, you can't do these things that you were doing when you were in your 20s and still do them in your 50s, 40s, 50s without sort of feeling consequences. And that's when you start to get problems about weight and about blood sugar in my case.
Yeah, like overall health improves through fasting anyway. In so many different ways. And there's people that extended it. It's like the whole 40 days, 40 nights, Jesus style. But there are those that have fasted and not eaten any food for long periods of time. And have hydrated as well. But, Ramadan, there's no eating or drinking during the day. And then they will break the fast during the night, right? It's to find, like, if you want to explore it more, it's to find, like, the baby steps to take you into it. And then finding what works best for you, like, you find your own flow. Because your body will get used to it, it will adapt to it, like with eating. Like, if you have this frequency of eating more often, your body's going to signal, like, hey, it's snack time again. So to change that initially, like, it can be challenging to have a fast.
That's why you do it gradually, so you just extend it. So you say, well, I'm not going to have lunch yet, it's 1 o'clock, but let's wait a bit, wait another hour, or just avoid having snacks. This is why I find coffee and tea and drinking, I like to drink fizzy water, gassy water as well, because because that's like gives you a bit of a
It's
kick.
clearing, yeah. As well.
And stimulant in the afternoon, I would have that maybe, but you don't need the calories. That does the trick. And coffee, I find, in the morning, I don't drink it so much in the afternoon. I would avoid it then. But gives you a bit of a boost, and it doesn't break you fast. It's not calories. Some people would be more purist about it and not drink any caffeine or anything. Just have literally just water.
Yeah, I'll drink caffeine. I'll drink tea, water with lemon as well. The other thing as well is like timing it. If you eat earlier in the evening, say you eat at 6, and then you're not eating anything, like you have your night's sleep to help you. You're not awake during the whole fasting period. So for a lot of people to get started, like that's a good. You eat dinner a little bit earlier, and then maybe you're sleeping through it, and then you extend it into maybe a brunch, or like you break it at lunchtime.
I also find that not eating too late means that when you go to sleep, you've not still got stuff you're digesting. So in the morning you wake up without that sort of, maybe this is age related as well, that sort of bad taste in your mouth because you've got something which was not fully digested.
Yeah.
That's the reason for not eating too late, and that means you sleep better, and then in the morning you don't have this dry or bad taste in
and you use it to clear out, like the whole point of like resting the system of intake so you can flush out whatever you need to, like clear your body as opposed to just keep piling more inside your system.
Yeah, if you think about it, if you keep on putting more and more and more, and the snack here and the snack there, you never give yourself a rest. And that this is, if you're susceptible to blood sugar levels being raised, that's something you want to avoid, because over time it doesn't only increase obesity, but it also raises your risk of diabetes and blood sugar related disorders in the body. That's a motivation for doing it for me. But when I was 50, I was told that my blood sugar level was a bit high.
You're not 50 right now?
No.
Alpha Centurion.
But don't worry, you can take medication, so it'll be okay. And I thought, hang on a minute, I'm not planning on taking medication for the rest of my life. What else can you do? And that's when I started reading about nutrition more and the value of exercise, because that goes with it too, and the quality of the food that you eat. So I became more aware of that, and lo and behold, blood sugar level stabilizes, and you don't need the medication.
Yeah.
Which is a big plus, because who wants to take medication if you can avoid it without giving up anything in quality of life, actually.
Yeah, but once again, it's like you're intaking less. You don't need a medication to help you with it. Just by limiting what fasting can help with all of this. The auto-regulation.
It is down to quality of food as well, because especially when you're coming out of your fast, what you don't want to do is have a sudden kick of sugars and bad quality stuff. What you want to kick in with some good quality protein, some fats, avocado, egg is what I usually do, and that way the first thing that your body, your cells start to absorb is not sugars, which is what you want less of. It's good quality nutrition, and then you have a meal, and you can mix some. You don't have to give up stuff that you like. I don't give up sugars. I like sweet things, but mix it in with the rest, and then you can enjoy it all.
There's a lot of people that play with like what you're saying in terms of like feast and famine, I'll call it. And so then maybe if they've had a long fast, if they do intake a lot more, like have all the foods that they want, sugar and whatever, a large amount of food, bodies can adapt by using those calories. So, but in the sustainable long term, the better the choice of those calories, whatever you're intaking, like the healthier your body's going to be anyway. So this feast and famine, sometimes they're just doing it based on like fat loss. so to speak. But they'll eat whatever. They'll eat all kinds of treats and snacks. Treats and snacks and things like that as well. But like in the long term, the better the choice that you're making when you break your fast, better your body will respond overall for the long term. Not just like, I'm gonna lose 20 pounds in the next couple months, and like more focused on the physical than like all the health benefits. Anyway, 16, 14.
In case you were wondering what that noise was, that.
It's an earth board.
It's an earth board.
Yeah.
This one has a name on it.
Right. But the movement component with fasting is important. Like moving your body to help process things, aiding digestion. Walking is a great way of helping with that, right? Like
just walking. You don't need
body.
to do anything super energetic if you don't feel like it. But in fact, the more comfortable you get with it, the more you can, which is what I would do now mostly in the mornings before I eat, I would have a round of exercise, and that's a good way of burning fat that you don't need, rather than the sugars. If you've eaten already, you're going to burn up the sugars, whereas if you are exercising without eating, then you're going to use the store that you've got in your body, which is fat.
You're tapping into different things, yeah, for sure. Like your body will respond totally different.
Yeah.
Moving is grooving. Movement is life. And that's the beauty of the fasting, is you're allowing more things to move through you and out of you.
Hey Ryan, what is this? I mean, what is this for?
It's a microphone.
I think that's another...
Balancing. It's another episode.
Another conversation.
What to do with the earth board.
Yeah.
Can't bite it. Breaking a fast.
Yeah.
Voila. Hey, there we go. We talked about fasting.
We did. We didn't say everything you could say.
There's a lot. Like, this is our experience.
I like telomeres. It lengthens your telomeres.
Telomeres.
And so does cold. As cold is another thing we've talked about.
We've spoken about cold, but like the connection to that as well.
Right.
Like hitting the cold, getting into the cold during the fast, and then after, and then using that to your benefit.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways of like
combining all these things as well.
Stacking. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Robert's your father's brother, as they say. Bob's your uncle.
They don't say that.
Some do. I do.
Oh.
Robert was my grandmother's brother, and my middle name. See you next time, Alpha Centurions. Fasting. We're getting faster and faster.
Yeah. Ta-ra.